Hello everyone. Today is a very special day. We continue our growth hacking series, and today it's episode number 4 where we have a special guests. There are many grandmasters in the world. There are many coaches in the world, but there are not many grandmaster coaches who has worked with uh, top level grandmasters. And today I'm very excited to have here Grandmaster Boris Avrukh. Boris, welcome.
Hey, hi, Avetik. Hi, Avetik. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for invite, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Super, very excited to have you here, Boris. We are going today, guys, speak about Grandmaster Thinking, and I'll go with the first question. Boris, at what age did you become a Grandmaster?
Well, it's happened in 1997. I think I was 19 years old, which is probably not nowadays you can say it's not such a great pace, right? But back then in 1997, I think like it was pretty reasonable pace. So yeah, so it was 19 years old. Yeah, so like now when you see the grandmasters, well, like 12, 13, 14 years old, it's not so impressive, but well, that's okay.
But not everyone, yeah, at 12, 13. So I think
Of
even
course.
now, yeah, 19, it's still decent, especially for that time. And do you think, Boris, that now it's easier to become Grandmaster than your time?
Yes, I think so. I think so. It's well, definitely the technology. Yeah, well, obviously, like you see the grandmasters, like there is some kind of competition who is the youngest one, and they're like it's around 13 years old basically, right? So if I remember correctly, Mishra, our
Yeah,
local grandmaster in the US, he's 12 years old. So yeah, the technology, the opportunities, I like you play the tournaments much faster with double round, right? So you can get it quicker. Now like I even didn't play this double round in my time. um yes, and well, it's just the statistics, it shows itself, right? So like yeah, I remember back in my times it's like 17, 19 was like pretty nice pace. Nowadays it's like nothing special. Like sarcastically saying nothing special, it's always very special,
yeah,
right? But
yeah.
I mean, we have like youngsters, prodigies, and so on. Yeah.
When you say technology, so do you mean it's there are more tournaments, there are more courses, more books, more coaches, like all together?
Right. Well, coach is probably in the same amount, but yeah, like as you said, the technology, the computers, like you can play the tournaments because it's double round. So now you can finish tournament in 4 5 days instead of traveling and having a tournament of let's say 11 rounds and like 1 2 3 days, right? So it's a different story. And yeah, so times has changed. Now it's as everything in the world is like getting more like everything getting faster, like a time controlling chess, right? So it's yeah, I think so.
Boris, sir, you already coaching more than 20 years, and you have coached many grandmasters, including top grandmasters, including Rajabov, Wesley So, Kramnik. Talk us through how did you start to work with top level grandmasters?
Yeah, well, it's I think it started all around 2000 or maybe 1999. So when I was approached by Temur Rajabov father. And back then, I would say he was not like elite player, but he was in some way prodigy, who is like everyone knew he was very talented and potentially like the guy who can compete maybe for the title. I remember he won. There was some game he beat Kasparov in Linares, I think, like with black
Yeah,
pieces. So
yeah, French,
yeah,
yeah.
so he was yes, in French. Yes, exactly. And so it started with Temur. We had I think about 2 years. Then I got a very surprising call from Vladimir Kramnik. That was a little bit. I wouldn't say it's like much more serious, but it's a little bit difficult collaboration because sometimes we had the training sessions in person. Like with Rajabov, I just worked like remotely, but with Kramnik it was a little bit different. So it's kind
Which
of
year it was?
much more.
Was Kramnik world champion or where he was?
Yeah, it was before the match with Topalov.
Uh huh.
If if I remember, it's 2004,
Okay.
2006, I guess.
So he was
right?
on his about on his peak, yeah.
Well, not exactly. When we started, he first of all, not sure about peak, but he had very, very serious health issues. He withdrew from some tournaments and so on. And I even remember how like I was supposed to travel to Germany, and then at the last moment he said, "Well, I'm not feeling that great, and so please come to my place," where he lived in Paris. So, and my first impression, I remember when we started to analyze, and I thought, wow, like if he's in such a bad shape, feeling not so good, can see so much and understand so much, what will happen when he will be like 100%? It was something special, right? And yeah, so after this, Fabiano, I worked with Fabiano, was very interesting 2 years, 2009, 2010. Worked, well, Boris Gelfand, it was just specifically for his World Championship match against Anand, so that I was on his team. Before that, like, he's a good friend. I mean, we had sometimes training games, but not more than that. And already here in US, had a few sessions with Wesley So. So it was also very, very nice experience. And, besides those elite players, there were, of course, just like normal grandmasters, national team since 2016. I have been working with the United Kingdom national team, like with all the team events and sometimes important individual events. Yeah, so there is some history of working with like grandmasters and elite grandmasters, I would say.
Yeah, what you are working mostly? Were you mostly working on openings, middle game? Which part were you?
Yes, it was specifically openings. It was specifically openings. Yeah, like an opening expert, right? Especially like with Vladimir Kramnik, I remember I was basically hired because of my Catalan knowledge. And back then, it was very strange. There were years where he started to play e4. And I think it didn't work really well for him. And then before the match, he already made this decision, okay, I'm switching back to like d4 and closed openings. And he's like, well, and I was Catalan expert, and still not my book was not published yet, but according to my games, he obviously could see this. And so it's mainly openings, but of course, Avetik, we took it like to the middle game, to very deep stuff, right? Like it's how the grandmasters work, right? So it's
we had different course, Boris, together. But did I ever told you how I used your D4 books?
I don't think so.
Okay, so at some point, guys, I was mostly D4 player, and was analyzing with my friends with ChessBase, like as most of the do, and then I found that book, D4, Boris Avrukh, and I just was listening, and like, wow, interesting. So I took, Boris, your book. How many chapters it was? How many books it was? 2?
Well, D4. Yes, the first edition there were 2 books. Yes.
Yeah, so I learned everything possible. I put on my ChessBase, put everything. Of course, I did more things from me, and from that day, I think one of my coaches said it. He said, "You don't feel any position as good as you feel Catalan," and mainly it came from you. I also studied there, like all the openings, like what you play against Semislav. I took that knight f3 3. Yeah, some of them I liked more than others, but Catalan I took it, and I think from that period, when you published the book, the Catalan, and also Kram started to play, I think from that years, Catalan became more popular, and still, like even during the last candidates, it was played so many Catalan games. Do I feel correctly that you had? It's maybe it will be exaggeration to say that you started that everything, but you had a very huge role, yeah, in this Catalan revolution.
Well, I would like to think so. Well, in fact, I think these books were so successful, and some people say it was like in some way revolutionary, like in terms of like depth and explanation. Uh, this series, like it's two books, they were translated, if I remember correctly, 5, 6 languages. So there was German, Italian, Russian. I think something like something in Serbia as well. So many languages. Yeah, what was like surprised always when people like I remember traveled to some Olympiad and then like suddenly everyone is shows. Oh well, we're preparing with this book. Um, yeah, it was very very popular. So then at some point it was interesting. People like even somebody mentioned that there is a new verb in English, to avru. Yes, so that means playing according to my book and get advantage, right? Or maybe win the game or whatever, right? So it's yeah. Or there was another funny name, Bible of Chess. So popular was this book, right? Bible of Chess. And yeah, I think well, from my experience, it seems like kind of like everyone had this, including grandmasters, like starting from the level that start studying over and up to the grandmaster. So like so many people, it was shocking. It was shocking to me, but I was glad. It was just kind of like accidentally I started to work on this because I had a free time, and Quality Chess owner approached me, Jacob Agor, and I said, well, why not to try? I had experience with publications like ChessBase and like other platforms. Back then, I don't remember what was available, but ChessBase for sure. And I'm like, why not to give it a try? And it's worked pretty well. It's worked pretty well.
I was in love with the books. I also later took your Grunfeld book, just because I took it. I felt it's not my opening. I just took it because I felt from your books, from D4, I didn't took just the opening knowledge, but I developed my chess understanding, and I said, okay, let's also take a look at Grunfeld. And really, I never played. I think I played just a few games, but it helped me very much also with understanding. So your books, I think it helped with generations, and there are people like me who will come and say, Avurkh, I was 25 around. I read your books, and at some point I had 26, and there you have contribution. So thank you.
Okay,
I'm saying it from everyone who couldn't have this opportunity to say in face. Boris, thank you. You did a great job with that. Boris, you have worked with many grandmasters, including top grandmasters. So I believe many people now will ask, what's the route to become a grandmaster? Yeah, but it's mainly will be about how to improve. So talk us through what is the main differences between international masters and grandmasters, and many are getting to international master and they feel they need to change their approach to become a grandmaster with the same way they cannot get to grandmaster. What are the changes should be done? So first, like, what are the differences and what are the changes approach from international master to grandmaster level?
Yeah, well, I think Avetik, it should be very very personal, of course.
Yeah,
it's international master. It's of course it's already very high level and seems like one step. And on the surface, it seems like there should be no reason why people who reach this level, international masters, why they cannot become a grandmaster. But in many cases, it just becomes so difficult. And well, of course, there are many cases that people, those chess players never reach grandmasters, right? So it's the same. Like I get this question from the students, like, well, what's the difference between a regular grandmaster and say Magnus Carlsen, right? So it's it's interesting question as well. So I mean, you definitely it's another level, right? Because once you need to become a grandmaster, you have to compete with grandmaster and kind of like successful. So you have basically to show at least 3 tournaments. You have to show the level of grandmaster, performance and grandmaster, and you have to take your rating in this direction, right? 2500. So I guess it's like much more serious work. And in many cases, I feel like people like they need to allocate much more time to become a grandmaster. So it's a
this is very nice point. Allocate more time because
Yes.
you can work like 3 hours to become master, but 3 hours not enough
and
for that.
not everyone has this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, you either like study, or maybe you have a regular job. So it's the things are not so simple, right? It's well, probably there are examples if somebody has just a regular job and he can work like 2 hours a day and then become grandmaster. Definitely there are cases, but the majority, it's like maybe full-time professional players, or maybe they put aside everything else, like they do some, like, I don't know, take some break from the college or something, and then they like really step up with like working on chess and work much more hours and much more efficient, and then they and on the other hand, it's like everything should click, right? Like everything should click, like its results, because I think, well, that's not very easy, right? Especially when you have kind of like this purpose, you go to the tournament, like norm events, right? And sometimes everyone knows how to play chess nowadays, and you need to score +5. It's very tough.
Tough, yeah.
Not easy at all, right? So yeah, so I would say much more efficient work, probably allocating more time. So those are, and you know, having the opportunity, like you know, having the opportunity to travel, participate in the tournaments, like for instance norm events. Those are kind of.
So soon we are going to one of the games where we will continue on that game. We'll speak. I will come back at some point to such topics. So guys, Boris Avrukh, not just author of books that changed me too, helped me to grow further. But now Avurkh doesn't write much, but he records courses, and the last course, one of the lastest course, about which we are going to speak, it was a course on Chessable, Grandmaster Thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, exactly the name, Grandmaster Thinking.
Grandmaster Thinking, and well, first of all, many will be surprised now. ChessMood, Chessable, guys, we are not competitors. I'm in the chess world just to bring everything out that gives value. And Boris has sent me interesting examples from the course, and when I was reviewing, there were lots of stuff. We'll come back to that course. You will also get the link where to see it. But on one of the games, I found very interesting decisions made by grandmasters, and many interesting evaluations that will be very unclear for I think even master level. Now soon I will show you a position, and I will tell you that I was 2600. I was not understanding why that position white was better. So everyone, if you don't mind, so I'm going to go to one of the games, and we will continue speaking based on that game. We'll continue about Grandmaster Thinking. So give me 1 second. I am going to switch to the board. Okay. First, do you see my board? Chessboard? You see it, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, super. Let's go. So, with white plays knight Arkady about 2700, and with black Peters Fiddler. So we go. So knight after knight c6, bishop b5, Ruy Lopez a6, bishop c6, dc6.
A pet line of Naidich, Arkady Naidich.
This is line of Arkady Naidich. What do you mean?
Yes, he plays all the time. You know, there are a couple of players that I know, couple of grandmasters that play all the time Ruy Lopez. Like there is this grandmaster Solak who is playing for Turkey, and Arkady. And it's kind of like
you mean exchange variation? You mean just specifically?
Yes, exchange variation. Yes, I was talking about exchange variation. And for Arkady, I was always kind of like, well, this is a little bit strange for him. It's not exactly fits his style, but there could be probably different reasons. Maybe he can play. He wants to play different position. Avetik, if you don't mind, I have a very interesting story. I remember one of my first training sessions with Fabiano Caruana, 2009. I think it was the very first one. So actually, when I came to him, and back then I was living in Israel, he was living in Hungary. So I came to him, and he said, well, we're going to work on Ruy Lopez exchange because I lost the game against Arkady Naidich. So this is how I remember. I lost the game. So back then, Fabiano was, I think, 26-30 grandmaster. So He played some European individual championship, and it was kind of a crucial game. And he lost. He lost Ruy Lopez Exchange. Felt very uncomfortable about this game, and he had like this idea to learn everything in Ruy Lopez, just everything. So basically, the whole week, it was probably 6 days, at least 8 hours per day. We studied Ruy Lopez Exchange. He wanted to know every possibility for black, where it's like more chances to get a fighting position or something like that. It was something incredible. I wouldn't say it was boring. Like I would love to, of course, to be like expand to other openings, but I mean, we checked different pawn structure, different opportunities, surprising moves.
Boris, do you mean after short castle you were analyzing here all queen f6, bishop g4,
yes.
f6, like everything? Not just one,
yes.
And so for black you were analyzing every option.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And you know, the very first game, it seems like when our training session was over, he probably kept analyzing, because the very first game after our session, he played bishop e6. The move
here, bishop e6.
The move e6, not d6, right? Bishop e6 and
very rare move, yeah. Super
yes.
rare move.
Yeah, so it's knight e5, queen d4, this line, knight f3,
yeah.
queen
So
e4.
it look like, guys, that the e5 pawn is undefended, but all the trick in these variations that whenever white take this pawn, black plays queen d4, attacking the knight on e5, the pawn on e4, and they are getting this pawn back. So bishop e6, yeah, interesting move. So
then although it's knight g5 is coming and the pawn structure is getting strange, but yes, so he had this sophisticated approach. So I think he wanted to like to wrap up Ruy Lopez Exchange, never come back, have a bunch of ideas, and that's it. And I think since this training session, he had like amazing results. I recall a couple of games that he won with black. It's probably more. So he never experienced any issues with the Ruy Lopez Exchange, from what I understand.
Wow, nice, nice. Tell me, please, Boris, what do you think about the advantages and disadvantages of playing just one variation for a long time? Like here, Arkady and Solak, they play this exchange variation for a long time. What are the advantages and disadvantages of having just one thing on that level?
Yeah, well, the obvious disadvantage that people can prepare against you. Yeah. So if like your games in database and everything, so you basically it's like open list and like especially in this situation, black can choose, I don't know, at least 5-6 setups, right? So and you don't know at the same time your opponent can specifically prepare a concrete line.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest. That's why people want to vary, like you know, not to get under preparation, right? On the other hand, from white perspective, Ruy Lopez Exchange, you play this like white grandmasters. You see, like Arkady Nagic. I think he still keeps playing this because he understands the ideas. He knows all the tricks. At the same time, I think like he's working and he's kind of like prepared. Oh, well, I played this line. It can be easily prepared because black can get a better game. So he deviates. He's the first to prepare deviations. And at some point, you like when you have experience and you play for a few years, you are not really afraid of any preparation.
You just know everything, literally.
Yeah, you understand the ideas. Okay, I cannot be worse with white. I can play, and in worst case, I'm not getting advantage, but I'm still within my territory. I know the ideas. I know middle game plans.
So you have practical
I know the common
advantage,
patterns. Yeah? Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So Queen f6 was played. Did you analyze this move? I think also a lot. Yeah, with Caruana, one of the main moves.
Yes,
and d4 was played. e4, and before taking the d4 pawn, white played bishop g5. Queen d6, knight d4. Now, imagine where it's like I'm amateur, and let's say I have here 1500 rating, and I'm asking you, Boris, how would you evaluate this position? Like, white is better, black is better, because here we have interesting pawn structure. Black has double pawns. Yeah, this is one thing. They have compensation. Like, how would you take me through? Like, how would you evaluate this?
So it's I think it's well known from strategical point evaluation of Ruy Lopez Exchange that probably you can find in many books. White has a better pawn structure after bishop c6, dc6. So white's idea usually, like we can say, literally to achieve pawn endgame.
Exchange everything.
Yes, exchange everything, pawn endgame. Black, on the other hand, has bishop pair advantage. So this is what happens in most of the variations, not in this game, right? And so bishop pair, you try to obviously take advantage of bishop pair by opening up the position, activate, like very nice rule, activating the bishop. Yeah, I always emphasize this rule with my students, to activate the bishop, whichever color your opponent doesn't have, right?
Yeah.
So by the way, it's worked in this game as well, because it applies not only to bishop pair advantage, but when you have bishop versus knight as well. Yes, so those are the strategical plans. However, in this line, something special because of the next move, right?
Exactly. This is why I asked you, because you just say that Black has compensation for their like worst pawn structure. They have here double pawns on c7 and c6. However, you said Black has here bishop pair, bishop c8 and bishop f8. And right here, in this position, when there is this compensation with our bishop pair in the game, here Svidler played bishop e7. I think many like if it was like somebody played 1500 level, yeah, we would say, okay, this is mischess understanding, you give up your bishop pair, very bad. But here, Grandmaster Peter Svidler 2700 plus played bishop e7. There are like lots of things should be more advanced than just bishop pair. So take us through this move.
Avetik, and in general, the play from Black, it goes against the rules, right? So they played Queen f6.
Yes, like everything goes against, exactly.
Yeah, and lost the tempo with the queen. So like another move, Queen d6, and then they trade bishop pair, which usually like Black's advantage, Black's trump in this position. Yeah, and I was surprised, but I think like the key idea here, why to play bishop e7, is to prepare queenside castle. Yeah, we need queenside castle. I know bishop d7. People play bishop d7 as well. Maybe a reasonable line. I don't know, but it's also like a lot of theory here in bishop d7. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's somehow something advanced. I always tell my students, like, when you don't try by yourself to play something unusual, but if you see grandmasters play stuff like this, so they probably analyze. They probably know what they're doing. I think. Yes, the center is vulnerable. It's even hard to explain, but it really works very well. And it works so well that I can tell you, Avetik, that in recent games, after this game, Arkady already played bishop e3. Can you imagine this?
Wow. So here Black has bishop pair advantage. They play bishop e7, like going against rules. And now White played bishop. Arkady started to play bishop e3, yeah, keeping the bishop,
yes,
like going against all the rules.
I mentioned this like in my course that there was. So this game played in 2019 and 2020 against Michael Adams. He already played bishop e3.
Wow.
He already, and there is a Caruana game. So there is some interesting. There is knight f6 normal, but there is something with knight h6 and g5 even ideas. And well, Black and castle queenside. So it's, yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what do you think about this idea? When people are asking me what are the differences between like different levels, 1200, 1500, 2000, 24, 26, 28, I think like one of the like general thing is like, of course, calculation is different level, tactic is a different level, almost everything is different level, opening too. But it's very different level is evaluation of the position. How you evaluate.
Yeah, well, I think like understanding of the like all the nuances, right?
Yeah, it's because if you are 1200, here you look at the position, you have bishop pair, you don't exchange. On like here in this game, as we will see soon, guys, we will see like very deep concept why it was played bishop e7 and why it was played long castle. Soon we will see, and then we will do reverse analysis. It will be like, wow, like bishop e7 here going against all the rule, but for that, which will happen after 20 moves.
And of course, very deep understanding, because well, it's a lot of work has been done on this position. I'm pretty sure about this. Peter Svidler, he is like e4, e5 the whole life he's playing. Of course, he knows the ideas, and took like it's not like he knows bishop e7. He knows probably 15 moves more, right? Like from this position.
Yes, of course.
So it's
Boris, you say that Black is playing long castle. Personally, I analyzed this game before this event. I found some answers, like how I would explain if somebody 1500 would ask me these questions. But take us through. You said Black prepares long castle. Why it's important to go long castle? Why here to castle opposite side?
Interesting. I don't think I actually explained this in my course because I thought like, well, that's theoretical line still. Well, I think first of all, like if we compare kingside castle and queenside castle, so we have the advantage of having already rook on d8.
Yes.
Right? Like so there is like rook d8 already, like extra tempo because well anyway we'll probably need to get at some point rook d8, rook e8, right? So we have extra tempo. I think taking into account that white strategical plan probably would be, one idea is to trade, but it's not easy. But another plan is to advance majority.
Yeah.
On the king's side, and then potentially, so our king at some point in long term, like might get under attack. And on the other hand, on the queen side, we have this shield with extra pawn. So like 4 pawns instead of 3. So probably more safe from this perspective.
Safer,
as well, right?
Yeah. So our king will be safer than opponents.
Now maybe like towards the end game when we like one day we are dreaming, we have double pawns, but it's still extra pawn.
And we can push them at some point also.
Yeah, so we would like to advance anyway, and maybe like advance and somehow on double and get pass pawn, so our king might support already on queen side, right? So those are the points, and probably there are something else. I don't know. What do you think, Avetik? Like probably some.
Yeah. Exactly, like very similar, but this pawn structure, similar pawn structure, I was struggling when I was analyzing here Petrov variation. So when I was preparing for the course Petrov or ChessMood, I was thinking what to teach, and then I decided to go with 93 variation. So here this is the variation we recommended in our course, and here there was 95 move. And when I saw people are taking here 95, d5 and bishop d3, I was like, wait. All rules say that black has pawn majority on the king side 4 against 3. White has just here double pawns. There are not knights. There are not like there are queens, rooks, but the pawn structure is not like very crazy. At some point there can be exchanges. Why? What the hell? White fights for advantages.
You cannot imagine this position resembled like, when I worked with Kramnik, I was not responsible for Petrov. There were other guys. But this position was analyzed, I don't know how many hours of it. He used this interesting word to sterilize. So he wanted, basically his approach was, I want to know everything with black in order basically to go and like not to play at all with black, just to get a comfortable draw. and then to push with white, Catalan and everything, Sterilization. So he used this word, I need sterilization. So those guys who analyzed Petrov is like 40 moves, end games. It was crazy. So it was
what I found here, Boris, is that if here, instead of long castle, white played bishop d3, 95, so here we trade them, and then we go short castle, so white can forget about advantage.
Yes.
So the only idea is we are going with long castle, because we are going in this position, after bishop d3, to have here safer king. And I was like, my rating was 2550. I was a retired Grandmaster, 26 I was, but still it was difficult for me to understand like why here white was pushing. And what I realized that here black has 4 against 3, but they cannot push. So whenever at some point they push f5, we play f3, right? We don't allow that e4, and then in the future we start pressuring on e5. Very similar things that happened in this game. So this was like kind of key to have opposite. When you have 4 pawns, try to go to your kings there because it will be safer.
Some exciting games when like I actually was showing to my students, like we did some calculation work in this variation when you allow knight takes f3, gf3, right? So you just leave the knight and you play h4 or something like that. That's the main theory, instead of capturing on a5. So just another approach from white.
Yes, true. So here in the chat, Polis is asking, queen e2, c4. Yeah, exactly, Polis. This is how we attack the e5 pawn in that variation. So here, bishop e7. Now we understood that black goes against the rules. When you have a bishop pair, keep them. Now they exchange, but they get something. They will prepare long castle and have a safer king. Yeah.
And it definitely helps with development, because after all, we are like,
coming to the game.
e5 is in there, right?
Yeah. So it's already quite deep thing, like for someone who knows the basic chess rules, it is already very strange move. but this is one of the Grandmaster Thinkings. They are looking much more ahead. So bishop e7, knight e7, knight c3 was played, bishop d7, knight d2, and long castle. So black doesn't mind exchange. After queen d6, they will undouble.
Avetik, I don't believe my eyes. I told you that knight h already switched to bishop e3.
Yes.
I see now, I open on my second computer, and there is a game, knight h against Salem from July 12th, and he lost. How it's possible that he went once again for this line? I don't know.
Wow. So long castle, maybe he will stop. Yeah, that's this variation.
Yeah, but it's interesting what he improved. Like, he played queen c1 the same.
c1. So yeah, in that game also queen c1.
Yes, no, of course. Here it's important point that we don't mind to exchange, right? Because it's improved our pawn structure, so we're not worried about queen c6.
Yeah. So
and that's also good. Maybe some players, there are like 11 games with queen d6, but Arkady is fighting player. He's very, very fighting. No doubts about this. He will fight against anyone. And of course he goes for queen c1. So.
Yeah, so knight g6, queen e3. Now whites want to penetrate to our camp with queen a7. And black didn't allow that, playing king b8. Sorry, king b8. Rook d1, queen e7. And now in
this is where he improved now. So this game I uploaded quickly, played in Bill. Bill just the tournament that finished just a few days ago. He played rook d2 in this position.
Rook d2, so no more f4.
Yes. Well, he still lost though.
So we will wait for the third game, yeah, where will be the improvement now. So f4, yeah, whites pushes the pawns when they have pawn majority, but in the future, as you will see, they are getting problems with their e4 pawn. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think about this f4? Is it a good one? Not good one?
It looks very natural, but it's probably, as you mentioned, those f4, e4 pawns, like especially e4, they become vulnerable. So like he never really got a chance, if I remember correctly, to play e5, f5.
Yes.
Right? Or maybe there was one opportunity, and it's a target, right? At least maybe if you don't play f4, at least you have, like you can play f3 one day, right? And just
so maybe
get rid of the pressure.
The idea of rook d2 is to just double the rooks at some point, exchange everything, yeah, and then slowly come with f4 king, yeah.
Yes, and very, very interested. Salem, Grandmaster from Arabic Emirates, he played rook d8, rook fd1, bishop c8. Probably
keeping
looks
the rooks.
good.
Boris, what do you think? I feel like if the f4 move would be a very good move if there are not rooks, and there will not be pressure on the e4 pawn.
Yes,
so probably with
absolutely.
rook d8, yeah, what white tries to do is black tries to do is to keep the rooks, give up this open file, but it's useless file because the rook cannot penetrate to d7 or d8, and at the same time white cannot push f4, yeah, and because here we have opposite castles and our king is safer, does it make sense to keep the pieces also? Yeah, probably because of this. Do you think so?
Mm-hmm. Although what is interesting, like we will see in the game, that Peter actually traded one pair of rook.
Here, yeah, in this game, yeah, true. So f4 it was played, bishop c8. So maybe if it's so these solemn games, maybe he would play here rook d8. Do you think? It also makes sense, yeah, to keep the rooks all.
Yes, yeah, why not? It's also okay. But you know, I notice it's interesting from one perspective strategically. Like we don't want to trade, right? So it makes sense to keep both pairs. On the other hand, the pawns become more vulnerable because you don't have like two rooks to protect. So like you can put like rook e1, rook f1. So it was very interesting, and I think what the position went down like in terms of evaluation for white after this trade. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising, but I mean, yeah, he really had a very nice, very deep understanding and knowledge of this position, Peter. So it's it's impressive game. So it's.
In the chat, there is a question, what about knight a4 move, trying to go knight c5, but probably it's anyway black's plan, yeah, is to go bishop c8 and at some point b6, and the bishop will go to the long diagonal, yeah, as was happened in the game.
Right, and knight c5 is well met by b6, we want to play b6 in any case, so it's,
f4 was played bishop c8, so black is transferring the bishop to the long diagonal, and rook d1, exchanging one pair of rook, and b6. Looks like black is preparing bishop b7 and c5, right?
So there are two ideas together, right, Avetik? So first of all, they try to activate the bishop. So they threw guys, if you can take this rule from this lecture, from our stream, activate the bishop, whichever color your opponent doesn't have. That's already big deal. That's already big deal.
Even
and
one
it
bishop,
applies, yes, applies bishop pair. So you find this bishop like which against knight, the color, right? So you activate bishop versus knight, you activate even bishop versus rook. Why not to activate, right? It's kind of like, it's logical, but for me, it was always, once this kind of material imbalance happened in the board, it's like automatic kind of like turns on for me, like in my brain, oh, okay, I need to check where is the best diagonal for the bishop. Looks okay on c8, but not doing much. Not doing much, right, on c8. So we strive to get this bishop to b7 potentially, right, and pressure in e4.
Have you seen our course, Happy Pieces?
Well, I saw I didn't have time to check, but yes, I saw the name and that. Yeah, so I can imagine it's something mentioned in similar stuff, right?
Yeah, it's about always activating your pieces, always bring them to the place. So I have to tell, before we go ahead, one story. When I was 26 and I was all the time training with our grandmasters, I was the guy who was bringing lots of ideas, like lots of new novelties, no standard approaches, and all the times my moves were interesting. So people loved to analyze with me because I was bringing lots of new ideas, no standard thinking, and they were working. And then one session I had with Grandmaster Melkumian, and none of my ideas was working. Like we analyzed probably 4 hours, one variation. When I thought there will be lots of new ideas, now I will bring 7 novelties. He was just crashing all my non-standard moves. And then at some point I like, what he's doing? Why against other grandmasters works? Why against Melkumian doesn't work? And then at some point Melkumian was sitting eating chips, and he was saying, Avetik, what are you doing? You are just ruining your position. Look what I'm doing. I'm just activating my pieces, putting them to the correct position, and your position is ruined. I was already 26 grandmaster, and I realized, what did you say? So you just activate the pieces, yeah? So I'm just doing some extraordinary ideas. You just put the pieces into correct position, and my position is collapsing. And said, yeah, like simple. And I was 26 grandmaster, but that was the time when I activate pieces, activate them, and that's. Noel Studer, my friend, grandmaster who runs the Next Level Chess blog, he had a very interesting article where he said his coach told him always to talk to pieces. Talk to the pieces.
Yeah.
Hey, bishop, how are you feeling? If the bishop says, not good, where do you want to go, bishop? On the long diagonal. Okay, let me see if I can help you. So bishop now goes
sometimes it's good to get back to foundation rules, right? It's like, well, we are grandmasters, something is not working. What's going on? Like, well, our pieces is not well placed, right?
Yeah, and here when we spoke about this, bishop is going probably to long diagonal, and it seems it's going to be here bishop b7 and c5, activating the bishop. In the game was not played bishop b7, but was played suddenly a5. So bishop goes to a6. Yeah, explain this more, please.
Yeah, well, actually, very, very nice moment here. Like, as you explained right now, instead of a5, well, it's clearly, c5 would be clearly premature because it's weakening d5 square, right? So knight can jump in. It's like, usually in royal opus exchange, it's pretty good square for the knight now. So then why not to delay? Why not just to play bishop b7, right? And then like one day c5, actually, we already ready for c5. But here it comes, so-called prophylactic thinking. You also should ask yourself what white wants after knight d3. And it appears that there is a very nice strategical idea to play b4, right? To play b4, followed by a4, a5, targeting b6 pawn.
Now black cannot push its pawns, yeah? They are blocked.
Restricted, so bishop cannot be activated, at least for time being. And a4, a5 in there, targeting b6, and maybe provoking b5 would be great, of course. And we are stuck. So not only we should like understand what we want, like but it's not enough. Prophylactic thinking, and that's also one of the big differences between probably grandmasters and let's say normal players. So like always in this kind of positions, ask this question. Some people might say, well, knight d3, so he's just improved the knight. There are no threats, nothing concrete. But actually, if you push, like maybe he wants something. So there is before. Right, and that's why this move comes really just great timing for a5.
Stopping before, yeah. Boris, you spoke about prophylaxis. Many, I think, chess players are getting confused. Should they just after opponents every move to ask what do they want, or it will be just too much? What is your approach?
Good question, actually. Yeah, I would feel I usually say that, well, it's not really like if you can ask at least spend 30 seconds
You mean
kind of
classical
like
game, yes? 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's
Not
like,
blitz.
well, now what's the difference? 92, 93, right? Maybe there will be situation no different, but here it's kind of like before, right? So you spend 30 seconds, 1 minute, but it's in many cases it will help you tremendously to find this, and to play accordingly. Like I can imagine, like he's not playing a5, and what happened in the game, there will be huge difference, right, in this position.
Yeah, if you allow before, suddenly it's like all the plans of black would not work, and they were stuck there. Now we come back, so we realize that okay, white's plan is before, and black played here a5. Now in this position after a5, what if white tries like still to do that? What if they here play a3 and trying to play b4? Or now the bishop will go to a6. Like how to, because this looks like a5, opponent plays a3, and what does it change?
Well, if I understand this, so there is this concrete, right? Like
bishop a6, and you don't allow it before.
Yes, and so yeah, I mean, we said like, well, we're probably dreaming about bishop b7, right? So that's our final destination in some sense, right?
But temporarily we can go to a6, yeah?
Yeah, but temporary to a6, why not, right?
Right, so rook e1, and the bishop goes to a6, knight f2, rook e8.
Yeah, so definitely white is struggling with the plan.
Yes.
White is struggling with the plan, so it's... they got these pawns, but they cannot advance them. And like every time he's well prepared for f5, e5.
Yeah, like here, yeah. If white plays f5, at first black takes d3, trying the next move to have the knight on e5.
Yes.
And if f6,
I think that's the line.
Yes. Okay, knight f2 was played, rook e8, logical move, yeah, rook comes, and it's going to pressure the e4 pawn. White played a3.
Once again, e5, f6, yeah, always.
Yeah, white played a3, and here f6, as you put in the comments, another solid positional move which halts white's hopes, created with advance of the central pawns. And this position, f6, yeah, how do you evaluate this position?
I think there is a huge difference how I would evaluate and how engine evaluates.
Yeah, just I
because
mean, like,
I would think
from human point of view, how you would say like white has this advantage, black that, like how this goes, this thinking process.
Yeah, it seems like I would say like black is very comfortable, right? Black is very comfortable. It's I think like the advance of the pawns more or less like halted, right? Like there is no f5, e5 in nearest future. White also kind of like a little bit stuck defending the pawns. And so like black is doing great, right? But if you turn on the engine, it will be a significant advantage already for black, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yes. So it's
it surprised me. It surprised me. And then I really realized how deep was Peter Swidler's strategical approach in this game. How like for instance, I would like we discussed like I would probably try to save both rook pairs, right? Like I would avoid trade, but he said like, well, let's trade one pair of rooks.
But black never trades the queens, yeah, at least.
Yes, and second pair we also keep, of course, right? So yeah, it seems like there is no play for white, just stuck after like defending their pawns, and meanwhile, black has a lot of ideas to improve. Yes, so and white is just cannot really advance.
Now Knight played knight e2, trying to take the knight to the g3, and black, oops, sorry, of course black didn't take this knight, black played bishop b7 and taking the advantage, so that now they can play c5 because the knight is not on c3, and there is no more knight d5 move, and here after knight f5, queen f7, rook d1, black played, okay, no, like this is one of my favorite moments, but it's still possible to find. Knight f8, so black wants to push g6 and ask his Mr. Knight to go somewhere else. c3 was played, and here, meanwhile, in the chat, I will ask people to comment what move to play. What would you play here for black? Your comment was after black's next move, yeah, which I will see if people will find the move. Your next move was in the comments, no-brainer move for experienced player. Okay, I will not continue because I will just tell the move. Let me see if in the chat there is someone.
It's very interesting moment, actually. Very interesting moment.
Yeah, so Queen H5, G6 is offered. We had, daily lesson about fixing weak squares and fixing pawn structure, and this is exactly about that, yeah? So, Boris, you said for experienced player, A4 is a no-brainer move. Okay, there is just one answer, A4. Okay, now started. 3 A4 already we have. Explain this part because it's not very obvious for many people. Explain this part.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So what is this chessable course is actually very special because the material that I provide in this course actually was covered in my lessons, lectures. So I had this kind of like massive experience, and I knew what my students answered, what people during the lectures answered, and like I was actually surprised that many players of like decent level, I would say national master, they really
didn't play A4.
It's not a very high percentage of A4. It's not a very high percentage of A4, and they try to do like knight A6, G6. All moves are okay, right? But it appears that we have time. We have time to do anything because white is like doesn't have any concrete ideas or plans. So, and this A4, creates a very clear advantage towards the end game, like fixing the pawn structure, as you mentioned. I mean, for me, it's immediately, I already see my king on b3 in the end game, like, okay, dreaming about this.
King on b3, already you see it.
Automatic move. So what only you need to see is that, like, white cannot really attack the pawn on a4. We always have bishop c6, and that's it. And this, like, whatever we can do it later. But that's, with move a4, we create a clear advantage on the queen side. So it's light square. And we shouldn't worry about before, white playing before. So white would maybe play before one day.
Yeah.
Right, if not a4. So it's gone. It's kind of like the pawn structure is fixed. So only we can play. So we can get to c4, get to b3, white pawn structure neutralized fully, right? So, like, cannot move. Yeah, because even trying to get b3, it will only create the weakness on a3 and c3, obviously, right?
Boris, so you said that even national masters, like, and many decent strength decent strength players didn't say a4. How to, like, a4 for many grandmasters? I think even if you give them bullet, I think like 90% they will play here a4 and fix it. Like, it's out on autopilot for us a4 because we see, like, part is because of our experience that in the end game, as you said, the king will go to b3 at some point. I think also see that at some point the knight will go to c4 and fix that pawn. Yeah, but okay, for grandmasters, like, we see this, and with experience we know. For, let's say, 2000 level, like the national master level, who didn't see this a4, what's the way to improve that chess understanding? One of my favorite advices is study classics. What do you think about classics? Like, studying classics, how does it help? And if you have any other approach to improve the chess understanding to the level that even in bullet you just play a4 in 1 second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's I think that's definitely the way to go is to watch, analyze grandmaster games, of course, right? It's we have obviously the books, positional manuals that explain a lot of ideas. Every book like this can be useful. I always tell my students, YouTube channel of ChessMood is no brainer. It's you don't need to pay money, and you have so many strategical topics covered. It's a fantastic material.
Yeah, it's just to mention people, because we have in Twitch, many people don't know it. Boris is speaking about the YouTube channel, yeah, right? On 365 daily lessons we have.
Yeah, 365. Yeah, and Avetik, I know this is like classical games, but I kind of like, for some reason I prefer modern players, because I feel like the level is so much higher, right? And they know so much. For instance, positional players, you take Anish Giri, you take Wesley So, this is like those players are terrific. Well, I'm not talking about Magnus Carlsen. It's of course, that goes without saying, right? But all these players are so strong positionally. It's also I think like the difference with classical games that I personally see that it's a different level of resistance, right, from the opponent. Like many classical games, like you see, well, he created some threat and then the opponent collapsed. Now you take high level chess and it's fighting games. It's a lot of ideas. So just watching these games, trying well, it's already, I think it's a matter of taste, because some people will like, well, we really like Alekhine games, Capablanca, so nothing wrong about this, right? And watching those games and understanding and trying to, I'm a big believer also in this topic, pattern recognition. So trying to see the patterns that are recurring in different games. So once you see a lot of games, you like at some point, well, I saw this idea with this pawn structure and this middle game position, and it's now in your brain. So like you can implement this in your own games, right? And so as you said, experience, knowledge, and just watching the games, watching these top players playing, even if it's not your opening. So this is the very common mistake that people do. Oh, well, 3 moves, it's not my opening, I'm not gonna watch. But you never know what kind of pawn structure you can get in your games and so on. So all this will be very useful, right? And so I think like analyzing those games, watching these games, like seeing how these top players playing. Of course, it's like already classical or modern chess. It's up to the players, and developing, and more you watch, the more like knowledge you get. And at some point, this A4 is like a muscle memory, right? Like for us, it's like fixing the pawn structure. How many games we played and we fixed the pawn structure? We played for this idea, right? Strategically. And I think one more important point I wanted actually to make about one of my favorite rules of activating the bishop, whichever color your opponent doesn't have. So it's activated. It doesn't mean, so at some point we activated bishop a6, right? But the problem was like, it's just an empty diagonal. There are no targets, like nothing to do there, right? So it's not to be satisfied with like, oh, well, bishop on a6, we control squares. That's good. Let's like improve the knight. But get the bishop to some diagonal where, how I say, like, I'm not sure it's a good English explanation, but run the play through this bishop. So once we start targeting e4, this is where the bishop influence is growing, right? This is where we kind of like, we can feel that white is missing his light square bishop, because otherwise they just play bishop f3 and then that's it, right? But here, like, they have no bishop.
Let me paraphrase what I understood, so you fix me if I understood wrong. So you said you don't like just find the good places for your bishops, but even if they are in good positions, think where they can be most effective.
Right. So most effective, this diagonal e4, g2, this is where it's eventually can come to the like point where white is really cannot protect these, pawn squares because they don't have their own bishop.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where the struggle. Yeah.
Boris, about watching the games, I think we also should emphasize watching commented games. Yeah, not just games, but commented.
Of course.
Commented, explaining the ideas, not just engine variations, when you can just go to, maybe you watch lichess and engine says moves, but you don't understand the ideas behind the moves, but commented by someone, yeah?
Yes, well, explained, and analyze game, because otherwise, like, you need to do this. Of course, I mean, to make it a little bit more excited, this kind of chess routine, you can play guess the move. This is what I did with my dad. Now I know not everyone is fortunate to have like parents who play chess or have time to help. Yeah, but I mean, in my case, it was my dad who helped me tremendously, and we had this Russian books library. Went over all these top chess players, world champions, and yeah, like I cannot imagine when I was young, like 10 years old, that I would be like sitting and going after like every book, just studying. But we played guess the move, and we could see how my understanding is improving, right? So that's maybe the way to go, right? To make it a little bit more exciting.
One of the things, I have recorded one video about how to study games. So I have recorded this method. What I was doing, I was actually playing a game, before watching the game. What do I mean? For example, I'm watching the game Kasparov Svidler. Kasparov plays with whites. So I was going to chess base. I was opening the first 7 moves. I cannot guess it. And when the game starts, I was turning off the notation, so I don't see it. And I was clicking right. When I click right, I see black moves. And now it's white
So
turn.
it's training mode.
Yes. I was just sitting, thinking with the clock actually even. So at first I was just feeling the game on myself, everything, and then opening the book and watching the moves, commentary, and so on.
No, yeah, it's fantastic. But in this case, whatever works for the player,
Yes,
right? Whatever,
yeah.
whatever works. If he's okay with that, like fine. Yes. If he's like, there is another approach that he enjoys. It's very personal, right? So it's,
yeah. Okay, let's continue here. A4, H3 was played, knight E6, knight G3. And here, how to continue, this is the question I will ask in the chat, because with this, at this moment, I was just, wow. I even called my friend, Grandmaster Gabuzian, who was in the office, and I said, he's Gabuzian for me, it's one of the most talented chess players I have seen. He feels the game, like in 1 second he feels them, and when I say, why did you play? He says, I don't know, I just feel it. By the way, I when we spoke about how to improve, one of the things personally I improve very much myself even now is when I'm watching him streaming and commenting his thoughts, what he's doing, why he's doing it. So useful. But even Gabuzian here didn't come close to the correct move here, which was played in the game. Boris, what do you think? How easy for Grandmaster to find the next move which was played, like this plan overall? Meanwhile, people will put in the chat. I will ask guys, by the way, not just the move you are going to offer, but the plan to choose here for black. So what do you think? How difficult is to find this?
Well, I think it's pretty challenging. I wouldn't like to say that it's a very easy idea, but yeah, it's keep improving pieces, like just feeling that
knight on e6 should be somewhere better, yes, than on e6.
Right. But some people might say that, well, I'm pretty satisfied with the position here, right? And start maybe. There are probably some decent moves here as well, right? Like
yeah, like g5, for example. Gabuzian said here
yes.
g5.
Yeah,
and it
g5,
makes lots of sense.
I mean, to be honest, would be my first consideration. Maybe I hope like I will get to eventually the move that he played. But yeah, I mean, that's like very, very tempting, g5. Yes. Maybe h5, like he
h5 also,
played
yeah.
in the game.
So
guys, it's a grandmaster move. It's a grandmaster idea,
move,
right?
exactly, grandmaster move. So what was the idea is that this is I also call this TV concept. Mostly this TV concept I say when the bishop is on g7 and knight on f6. So what do I mean with TV concept? TV concept is when you are watching a television and your kid is coming next to you and closing your view, and you are, come on, I'm watching a TV, so please move on. So here the rook works, pressuring on the e4 pawn, and the knight on e6, like the e4 pawn is a TV, you are on rook on e8, you are the remote control on your hand, and then there is someone not allowing you to do. So you are saying knight on e6, so please move from here. And here the best square for this knight is going to be somewhere on d6, targeting d4, where you can also go to c4, target the b2, which we just fixed, yeah? And by the way, we forgot to mention, I think, one thing, that here white has e4 weakness, and it's one of the very important principles to converting positional advantage, yeah? When one side has weakness, you create second one. And with a4, we fixed the b2, and as we will see in a few moves, after black's at some point attacking both of them, white is not able to defend them. So here, let me see in the chat if there was the correct move. I see there is in the chat there is a correct idea to bring the knight to d6. So knight d8 logical, yeah, knight goes there. Well, so in the game was played bishop. Sorry?
It's not knight on f5. He played knight g3, right?
Knight g3, let's go back, yeah. So bishop c6, and as you said, guys, in the chat, really the knight is going to d6. One of the ways was offered is going this knight through to f7, and d6, which
Right.
is also fine. So with bishop c6, black also defends the a4 pawn right now. In case.
Such a useful move, right?
And it also can go to b5 too.
Controlling d7 just in case, and
Just
like endgames king b7.
Yeah, d7 is
Just
also
such a
important
fantastic
one.
move.
Because white gave up the d file to put the pressure on e4, and the bishop on c6 will not allow this, kind of making the useless this rook. And bishop c6, the plan is like what we will see now: rook d2, knight d8, and the knight goes to d6. Now it's like a dream position. Like all the pieces are happy, rook is happy, bishop is happy, knight is happy, rook d1, and here I will be one more time. I will ask a question in the chat: how to continue? Like you have here 3 pieces attacking the e4 pawn. White also has 3 pieces defending it. We might say, okay, let's bring also the queen to defend the e4 pawn, but then white also has rooks, they can defend it. And here in the game was played a strong move. Instead of that, what would be your other second alternatives, Boris? So we know the correct move. What would be your alternatives before people answer in the chat?
Yeah, well, I think, as you mentioned, creating potentially the second weakness, or like in some sense, like opening the second front, right? So always, I also feel, Avetik, there is this important point, like tactical vision, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that there is this tactical opportunity. And I don't want to give the name before people ask him to give the variation, but you know what I'm talking about. Yes. Yeah. And like you said, there is a second weakness potentially. Well, we can jump queen b3. That doesn't seem anything special right now, right? So, and we keep this in our mind, so we can create even more than that, right? And keep this, like, there is this phrase that the threat is stronger than its execution. Actually work pretty well with queen b3, I think, with queen b3 idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are, so it's, as you said, everything is optimally placed. So we need to like create weakness, further improvement. So what we can improve, right? So it's those are the questions.
So earlier we didn't want to exchange the queens because our king is safer. So if it goes at some point double-sided attacks, we are going to be better because our king is safer. But now when here strategically we are already clearly better. So black has here 2 weak pawns, e4 and b2. There is a move I want to ask about your opinion, because this move was offered already in the chat. What do you think about now playing queen c4, attacking the e4 pawn and offering queen exchange? It seems quite logical, no?
Yeah.
But probably it's probably second best one, yeah. But just if not the move which was played in the game.
Interesting, yeah. And how black? So do we win the pawn right away, or what is going on there? With queen c4, is it like winning the pawn right away? Or?
Maybe take rook b1, yeah, knight d2, rook e1, so we don't win it.
Yes.
Maybe don't away, and then you will stuck. So here I see already the correct answer. So King Marcher gave the correct answer, and Chess CG. What are your rating, guys? Like you say this move, it's correct. Black played here h5, trying to disturb the knight on g3, pushing h4, attack the defender. And here when we spoke about this tactical also, that strategy and tactic goes together, it's interesting what white will play h4. So here in this position, black has a strong move. What do you think, guys? You can put us again in the chat. But before they put, I have a question for you, Boris. So of course there is a great move for black that crushes white's position. But even if we don't have that move, do we need to calculate? Or if we play h5, h4, this is already advantage for us, so we just do that?
Well, not so obvious. I feel like it seems to me that many players would potentially might reject, like, oh, well, we want h5, h4, but white has h4. Like, what we achieve with this pawn structure, not so clear.
And then maybe weakened, but not clear, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's kind of like double-edged. You can, like, pros and cons, right? And then you will say, well, I better go g5 and get a5 square or something like that, right? So it's quite possible.
Yeah. And in the chat, meanwhile,
quite possible. So
put already lots of correct answer here. There is really this g5 strong move. So we have opposite castles, and it's a time to go g5, start attack.
Yeah, and the thing, it's not even a pawn sacrifice because knight is hanging eventually on f2, right?
On f2, yeah. But even if it didn't hang, yes, then you would play your h4.
Yeah, of course.
Push there. So yeah, g5. Good job.
Yeah, this is important because like in many cases you can do like a fantastic game, but you miss this kind of like tactical nuance, and it's you cannot break through, right? And you start working on some other moves, and it's not as effective as h5, which is basically like improves tremendously black position, right?
Yeah,
so if we take h5 and we know there is no h4, huge, right? So we kick the knight.
Yeah, and now when the knight goes back, it still goes to d2, trying to defend, and now it's time to attack the second weakness, which we just created with a4, fixing the b2 pawn, and here was played queen b3, attacking the pawn, right? And here, oops, I'm sorry, I clicked somewhere wrong. Black played here queen b3, attacking the second weakness, and now suddenly there is just no defense, yeah? So
yes.
Like the main thing is that after rook e2, there is a move, bishop b5, and here black is winning the exchange, and yeah, maybe there is also queen b1, yeah, defending the pawn, but
then knight c4, right?
Knight c4, and there is no rook e2 because there is a pin, yeah, the b2 pawn is knight a3 will take. Yeah, so after queen b3, I say actually just white's position collapsing, yeah, queen b3.
Yeah, so just waiting for suitable moment to jump queen b3. We could have jumped like a few moves, and now it's tremendous, right?
Threat is stronger than execution, as you said, so it's the best moment to go there.
In this case, right?
Queen b3 was played, and just white's position collapsed, because the problem is that they lose the b2, they will also probably very soon lose the a3 pawn. Yeah, so here the position collapsed, and in a few moves here white resigned. It was played e5, take queen b2, again using that there is a pin.
You know, Avetik, I always say that this is the first time Peter Svidar calculated some like serious line.
Queen b2, yeah.
So a little bit, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Queen rook e2, queen b5.
Queen b5, yes, yeah, 2 moves. 2 moves, queen b5, x-ray. Okay, maybe not even x-ray, yeah. I thought rook e2 just right away, but queen d3 we can even do. Okay, no, Boris, I think there is a mistake. If queen d3 there is rook e8.
Yes. No, rook e2, of course.
Okay, so rook e2 here we take. Rook e2 x-ray, and here we win, yeah. First time, so just 2 moves. Variation queen b5 was played.
No, yes, of course he calculated everything and like h5, g5, but on the surface it looks like first tactical tension, right?
Yes.
So it's
yeah, queen c2, knight c4, and now another 2 pawns are hanging. e5, a3. The bishop on c6, like look what a monster it became from the initial when it was. Yeah. But e6, knight a3, knight just got tired of this everything and here resigned. And here this game was for me, from all the games you have sent me, why I choose this one, because first of all, like here what has happened in the opening, this bishop e7. Now when we see this game, it becomes lots of sense. Okay, it's so important to go to opposite castle, but behind this move, do you think there is lots of homework?
Of course, definitely.
Bishop is, because you analyze, you understand that it's also quite huge chess understanding. Yeah, it's at very different level when you go against the like famous rule, bishop pair don't exchange, but you understand this is exception because it will go to opposite castle. So
yeah, and of course, Peter, I have no doubts that he has been playing like Ruel e4, e5 for many years for both colors, so that he had experience with like much more like common ideas, right? Like when you like keep the bishop, like d4, e4, c5 endgame. Definitely, he had a lot of games, and he knows all these strategical like concepts, like which are normally played. But this line, it's like in some way modern chess, right? I feel like the pre-engine era, like it would be hardly played like bishop e7, because everyone knew like, oh well, the strategy-wise doesn't seem like very sound. But nowadays, so that's like modern chess, right?
Yeah, so it's going against many standard moves. Yeah, especially this Layla. Yes, they are offering often some moves, ideas with their kings. Even like, oh, what is this? So, but there's one question here. It's interesting. What do you think if someone is grandmaster but they are not expert in this pawn structure? Would they play bishop e7 still, or it's very okay if they never think about this?
What you say? So how can you repeat Avetik
Yeah,
once
sure,
again?
sure. Somebody's grandmaster, like 2600, but they didn't play. They played Sicilians. They played French or Caro-Kann, and they didn't see this pawn structure. And here, bishop e7. Would they think about this move, or it's like very okay if grandmaster like that doesn't come close to bishop e7?
Well, you know, well, there is a playable move bishop d7 from what I
Yes,
understand.
yes. So personally, when I was seeing this game, and I saw here bishop e7, I was like, what? I was like, bring back. And it's when you are working, you are seeing something, and then you're like, what did I see? So I was just with right click. I was going to the game and like bishop e7, and come back. Wow.
Yes. So those who have not studied deep, I think they would rather like. First of all, it's already hard to believe that they will play will jump with the queen so much, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yes.
queen f6, queen d7. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be like bishop d7, very common move. Is it like c5 already?
C5 can
like,
be, yeah.
Yeah.
H6, I think also, yeah. Why not to play your H6?
Yeah, so kind of like trading or something, and so they will play, because I think like any grandmaster kind of like would understand the strategy behind this pawn structure. But if it's not, as you mentioned, Avetik, like deep knowledge that he spent like some hours analyzing this, like he would be hard to play bishop e7, because general concept is kind of like well known, like, you know, Lasker, Capablanca, whatever games everyone saw, right? And so they will follow, right? So they have this foundation knowledge. But bishop e7, very special.
Yeah. And I think we don't see often, on this level 2700 games when like there were like really no calculations. So there were just really deep moves like bishop e7 we have seen. Long castle, don't minding about exchanging the queens because we will undouble the pawns, right? Queen c1, king b8, like this all goes.
It's like the whole game, barely any calculation line, right?
Just maximum 2 moves we have seen.
Yes.
Maximum 2 moves we have seen. Bishop now it's like bishop goes like bishop is on d7, not happy. It goes to the long diagonal. Here exchanging one pair, and here very important move. Like if not a5, the game would be like very reversed. Yeah, if Black allowed this b4 move. So again a5 here. Bishop temporarily goes to a6, and then rook e8, f6 fixing that pawn. The bishop comes back to the better position. So guys, we don't just go what is the good position, but what is the most effective position. And then this a4, like a move that is, you said, no-brainer in your course. About your course we'll speak in a moment. So no-brainer, like really, you should just fix it. And here this great maneuver. I think this is the move that just won the game. Bishop c6, and it's going there. Boris, personally, I improved my chess with this game because I saw something not simple for me. Bishop e7 was this bishop c6. I think, and the interesting thing is that the openings are often connected. Yeah, so when I see this game, I don't play maybe e5, but I play Petrov. So when I play Petrov, now my understanding is when it's deeper, I see this position deeper. Now I learn from there, I don't need to exchange the rooks. I need to keep the rooks. And here is, as you said, people are often skipping an opening because they are saying, I don't play this opening, so I skip this game. But it's wrong, because at some point you are starting to connect dots.
Yeah, as I see, you suddenly you develop like kind of like pattern by like checking 2 games with the same pawn structure, right?
Yeah. Boris, take us through the course. you have in Chessable. What are the games about? Are there similar games? Let me share this one. I think now we should be able to see your course. Do we see the screen? Do you see it, Boris?
I see you.
You don't see the Grandmaster Thinking?
No, you're probably not sharing the screen or something.
Okay, something I'm doing wrongly. Sorry about it. So, guys, there is a link on our YouTube channel. We will upload this on our YouTube channel, so it will be there, so you can watch it whenever you want. And there will be also a link on our ChessMood events page of the course from where we took this super instructive game. Tell us, Boris, about this course, for what level it is, how they can use that course.
So yes, this course called Grandmaster Thinking, if I'm not mistaken, it's been published in 2021. So
May 14th, 2021. You have a good memory.
Yes. So it's consists of 15 games, 15 like super interesting, super instructive, super complicated games on different topics. So here, basically all these games are taken from my years of coaching, from my experience. So it's not that I prepared specifically material for this course, but it's rather I went over these games with my students and like lectures and group lessons and so on. So I know what usually people think. So I also like explain this, how usually what's wrong with this thinking, like what usually my students choose this move, but they miss this. So it was it's very instructive. Now, the level, in my opinion, it can be, I felt at some point that it's like super, the most advanced level on Chessable that ever was published. But not now, like I know they publish some like really nice opening courses that some grandmasters quoting, like for instance, I noticed on Twitter people bragging like, oh, well, I just watched this course. So every level, and I also did these games.
Like what will be the sweet spot? Like for them, it will be the maximum effect. Like 2000 level, 2000 plus.
I did those games with like every level. Yeah, but I think like starting from, I don't know, 2000 maybe, but even 1800, I think it's just understanding, because it's like very detailed explanation. So you get how it works in Chessable. You get like game with the text, so you can see, like, if you prefer to work this way, there is also video like with explanation where I explain how to think. So basically understanding, right? I think like, let's say somebody like 1800, he cannot guess the right move, but like when you explain, it should be easy to understand, like relatively, right? And if you get some ideas, why not, right? So, and there are like 15 games. So what happened, like from these games, they extracted, I don't remember exact the number, but it's around 250 puzzles. Mm-hmm. So puzzles, meaning like what we did today with Avetik, when he was saying, please pause and try to find the move like h5, bishop c6. So like for instance, if I'm not mistaken, this game around 15 puzzles. So like finding bishop c6, a4, h5 maneuvers, like, and so every game you take, and there are like around average, let's say 15 puzzles, and you just try, like you try to guess. Some people, actually it was mentioned that there is a way to study that. First you go over the game, see all the commands, like all the moves, and then you like already you have this like puzzle mode where you and you know, the Chessable, they do this interesting stuff when if you guess correctly, so you get points, and then eventually you probably get some free courses and stuff like this. And there are like 15 games, different topics. So this game, if I'm not mistaken, the topic is bishop versus fight bishop versus knight. There are like super complicated games on calculation.
I've seen it.
Yes, there is unbelievable endgame technique which impressed me a lot. Karyakin beat Anand, great defender. Opposite color bishops, like material imbalance, one of my favorite topics when like queen versus like rook and knight, and then it's also changes a lot of stuff. Like I basically picked up the most interesting games that I believe like I analyzed throughout my years, and well, everything is explained at the best of my ability. Like I try to explain how to reach out to the right conclusions, how to choose the right moves, and what else to be, how to win winning positions. A couple of games of my students. One of my best games I probably ever played against Emil Sutovsky in 2004. Yes, so like that's probably I forgot something, but more or less that's the explanation, right? And guys, like if you're interested, of course, on Chessable you can go and like you can watch the video, like explain video. So there is like kind of like introduction to the course. So it's
so guys,
probably explain better. Yeah.
So this we'll have in the description of our ChessMood. We will have on the event. We will have on the YouTube. In case I'm also sending here the link. Let me see if it goes. Yeah, it goes. So here is the link also. Yeah.
And very important. So it's basically all type of decisions. I cannot imagine that I miss something. The variety of decisions, calculation, end game, tactics, positional, whatever. Like 250 puzzles, right? So it's everything, because the games are so complicated, so double-edged, that there was everything, right? Like maybe not everything in one game, but for sure in 15 games you have all type of decisions, right? So it's
so guys, it's now I would happily now start bombarding Avurkh with different kind of questions about chess improvements, because it's not every day you get such a level coach, but we will be like kind to him, and we will not bombard about. Hopefully we will invite Boris you for another topic. Maybe it will be practical decision, or it will be just overall chess improvement, where like then we will bombard you with questions. But not this time. Today we try to keep this Grandmaster thinking, and guys, it's unlimited topic: improvement, practical decisions, Grandmaster thinking, making decisions. And it's not just you watch one session like this. It's instructive, yes, but you don't learn all. Even if you watch one course, it's not all. So it's like constant improvement, as I used to say at ChessMood. Kogro. So Kogro, Boris, means constant growth. This is one of the words we often use, Kogro. So it's our ChessMood word. So it's always Kogro. It was very nice to have you, Boris. Thank you very much, guys. It's
thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for
sure, it's my pleasure. So guys, it's not that as I said at the very beginning, yeah, I'm very open to share any websites content which is good, any books. We don't compete with absolutely anyone. I came back from Thailand not just to make, I came back to bring value to the world. So I'm happy to introduce, even if it's Chessable or anyone's, we don't compete with anyone, but at the same time I'm not going to promote or advise you anything that I don't believe. So here I invited Boris to share about all the insights, how we look at the position. Personally, I learned a lot from him today, and this is the course that many of you will find it very useful for you. Like here today we have seen pure strategical game with nuances, and there are games with different kind of decisions. You should check it out. Boris, thank you once again very, very much for your time, for all your effort you put for making the chess world better, because there are many people you contribute in their growth, but you never knew about it. As me, like once when I messaged you and said, Boris, you have done a lot for me. So there are many people who will not say it, but you did them, and they had that gratitude feelings. They just didn't have time to do. I'm saying this thank you from all the world whom you helped, and I wish there were more people like you who would contribute to chess like this.
Thank you, Avetik. Thank you. It was a great pleasure. It's a really nice conversation, and I think like you're doing a tremendous job, like on ChessMood. Like as I told you privately, like more people should know about your work. So like I think like you're improving in this direction now.
Yeah. Thank you
Yes.
very much. It's when I saw your words, it's really touching. The first time when I touched my words and like our office, we were in the office, and I said like, guys, come look what Avurkh has written, and it was first time when you said it was about YouTube channels, when you put there not just YouTube channels. You had 3 sources that people should use, and you put about our daily lessons. I didn't know that you are recommending your students to watch these lessons.
Yeah,
It was
this is criminal. How many views your YouTube videos have? It's criminal. Like it's in hundreds. There is no way.
yeah, like maybe it's criminal to keep me as a CEO of ChessMood. I'm very bad at marketing, but maybe one day we will fix. I will not learn this stuff. I'm not interested, but hopefully I will bring people who knows how to take the value to the world.
Yeah, but you know, I just wanted to say it's very interesting. Like social media, I know some people like not kind of like very negative about social media and many bad things, obviously, and like especially time management, time wise, like you can spend so many hours, and in some way it's useless. But this game, I found there was some chess post on Facebook, if I remember correctly, and they were talking about like kind of like complicated games. And my good friend Jacob Agard, who published Quality Chess, owner, published all my 10 books, he mentioned this game. And I from this post, I highlighted a couple of games. I checked, I found this game, and I'm like you today. I'm like, wow,
what a game!
So, yes, what a game! So that there is something useful in this, right? Like in social media sometimes.
By the way, about social media, one of the ways when people ask me how to improve, one of the most important things I say is to follow the correct people. You should make the research. Like the what you will do at homework, guys. It's not just okay. I see this course. Let's buy it. The course says you will become grandmaster in 1 year. I buy it. No, it should be research. Better you do research before taking a direction. And I'm always recommending to follow correct people. And one of my recommendation is definitely Noel Struder, grandmaster with the Next Level Chess blog. I recommend to follow Ramesh, and I highly recommend to follow Avurkh. He has Twitter, Facebook, right? Boris, how can people follow you?
Yes, so I have I have Twitter account, I have Facebook account. Like so one is specifically for chess, and Instagram I'm not so active. I even have my webpage which calls askavurkh.com.
I will put in the chat.
But it's I have uploaded. There are like several opening files, but I got really busy with this chessable work, and so what I'm planning after my next course, which is probably coming towards the end of the year, I will spend much more time improving. Yes, and by the way, YouTube channel, which also in some way I really feel ashamed about this. It's in some way it's abandoned because of like amount of work that I have recently. But there is a YouTube channel where like I showed actually some nice games, shared some thoughts as well. It's I think it's also called askavurkh.com. Ask Avurkh, yeah, right? So not .com. It's like YouTube channel.
I'm putting it chat perpetual stalemate.
Yes.
Thank you very much
for
the links.
I really feel ashamed about this. Like I know like so many strong grandmasters, they have this like very well developed YouTube channels, well recognized with a lot of views, and I in some sense like struggling to find time with this.
You do so much, so it's very understandable. Boris, my last question. Your wish to the chess world, especially now to the viewers who are here, who was following this event, who wants to improve, maybe just to one day they will become a 2000 level. Their goal one day is to become a grandmaster. What is your wish, advice to them?
Well, I wish all our viewers like get to the very highest levels. That's obviously, but things are not so simple as you know, guys. I think it's you should understand, guys. It's about efficiency. Like the work should be very, very effective, right? Because you know some people might say, well, we are working like 6 hours a day, but it's not really working for us. We hardly improve and so on. So it's as Avetik mentioned, it's important to follow like the right sources, the right people. Always a good idea, maybe to have a coach, or at least I always say like if there is some money issue, like maybe you can find a coach who can check your games and give you directions and create some kind of like plan that
mentor,
will be easier for you to follow. Yes, mentor and like how it's like a test lesson and where he can see your weaknesses, because one idea you feel like, well, I'm just like, it seems like I don't know this opening, but when you get to more professional chess player, he can see much more details and recommend like very specific chess routine to follow. What I like, but by the way, I always mention ChessMood platform, especially recently that I got to know you like even more closely.
Thank you very much.
I feel like it could be like really nice one source of information, because I think one of the struggles that people now have so many sources that it's hard to understand what to check. Like you can get chessable courses, modern chess courses, everything, right? Like books here and there. I have a lot of quite a few students like that. I mean, they have a serious jobs, but I call them chess enthusiasts, right? So they have, and a few of them even do not compete seriously, only online. So, but they literally have so much information. Yes, so many books. Like they even from our lessons, sometimes I take, well, I didn't know about this feature. Like he said, well, I have this forward chess application, whatever, right? So yeah, so if you want, it should be like very, very efficient. It's like so easy to go astray, right? With this amount of information. Follow top players, see what they are doing, right? Good sources. And create effective, efficient like chess routine. So that's one of the biggest challenges, I think.
It's not just
analyze your games, improve. Well, one of the things improve your games by analyzing without engines. Yeah. This is how I think I grew up being in Soviet Union and attending a chess school of Petrosyan in Moscow. The main coach was Kasparov coach Nikitin, and he, 4 times a year, one thing that he demanded from all the students, bring 30 annotated games to the session. No computers, 1990. I still have my notes with pens of different colors.
And
where it was
sorry for interrupting, Boris. Was it 33% winning, 33 loss, 33 draw? Do you remember?
What do you...
Like, Vladimir Kramnik, when we started coaching, he said, I want to see what are your problems, and he said to me, bring 9 games. And like 9, okay. He said, bring 3 games that you won, 3 games that you lost, 3 games that you draw.
I see. So that's why the 30 games, right?
Yeah, I mean 33%, 33 I meant.
Yeah, no. It was just like games. All the games, right?
Yeah.
Like all the games kind of like you play it or you select, right? And then and then you work without engines. That's unfortunately what people forget nowadays, right? Because there is an engine, and as you pointed a few times, Avetik, so sometimes you understand why this move is better than another according to evaluation, but in many cases it's not really clear, right? And it might be from practical point of view even a little bit different evaluation. Maybe this is the best move, but sometimes I see, wow, this move is impossible to calculate. That's not a human move, so you need to find something practical, something that you can potentially play, not some crazy computer line, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Boris. Thank you for all your advice, for all your time, and again, once again, everything you have done and you are going to do for the chess world. Just highly appreciate it.
Thank you, Avetik. And good luck with ChessMood.
Thank you very much. You are one of my cheerleaders whose work is just making me very, very proud. So champions, with us was Grandmaster Boris Avrukh on the topic Grandmaster Thinking. Stay well, stay with the right mood, as the right mood generates the right move, and co-grow, constant growth, because with constant growth you will get once where you want to be. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day, guys. Thanks for joining.